Okay, the next enhancement to discuss is the way you can now determine the swing structure. Now, in the last version, your control of the swings, or perhaps more specifically how a retracement or a pullback was defined, was via these controls. And we can get to most of the functionality here through the drop-down menu. So this is how it was originally offered in the first version. Still perfectly valid. We can use price action. Now, when we choose price action here, it enables the break of structure features down here. So the default had been a 14 period, twice the ATR would define a retracement or a pullback. Now, it's not that we've taken that away. We've just added another feature. So this is how it was previously done. If you were on price action, you could use the ATR. You could use a percentage of the swing structure for a retracement, or you could use a certain number of ticks or pips, as the case may be. Those are controls that are still there. And again, it's not that one is better or worse. What we're trying to do with this new version is to offer a more objective way to approach it. So, for example, if I'm here at ATR, which is how I've been using it for the last 6-7 months, however since we first released it, again, this is perfectly valid. The issue becomes, well, if I change this from an ATR period of 14 to 20 and an ATR multiplier of 1.5, well, I'm going to get a different swing structure. Change it to 5 and a swing ATR multiplier of 3, again, very different swing structure. So my point being that while there is benefit in having that flexibility for you to determine how you're going to define a retracement or a pullback, that's not the point. The point is that we're now offering an additional, what I would propose is a more objective way to define a retracement. So what we've done now is move to the fractal-based approach. Now, many of you may be familiar with the idea of a fractal. This was originally introduced to the technicians by Bill Williams in his book Trading Chaos. It's many years ago. Great book, but that's where the idea of a fractal was first introduced. At least I can tell you that's when I first heard it. So just for review, for some that may be new to this, the idea of a fractal, typically it's a 1 or a 2 bar fractal. So if we look here, this is a good example here of a 2 bar fractal where we have lower highs on either side of that pivot. Same thing over here, same thing here. Here's a low fractal. Here's a very, it's a fractal, but you'll note here that wouldn't be 2 times the 14 period ATR. Here's a fractal low. Now we're choosing to use a 2 bar fractal with 2 bars on either side rather than a single. Some will use it just as a single. But again, to be more objective and to reduce the number of micro swings, we're choosing the 2 bar fractal. So just to show you what that would look like here, because this is a substantive change from the prior version, if I come here now and I hit recalculate, or let's just turn it on. I think I've got it on fractal. Okay, so now, yes, okay, so now what you'll see here is that I have the swing structure being identified based on these fractals here. Now, you look here and you say, why do we not have a major pivot here? Because this was the last break of structure. It did give me a fractal. Note this fractal here with a candle close gives me a new high, but as I retrace here, now we don't come back, and had we gone up to test that, then this would have been, as I would imagine you can anticipate here, this would have been another break of structure. Right, because we have a fractal here, so that would have been the next break of market structure, but it doesn't happen. So this is essentially a hanging fractal. It's just left there. It's untapped. Now it's still fractal, but it's not affecting the swing structure here, and we ultimately end up going down here to we get, well, technically not a trend change here because we don't have a major structure change. We just get changes of character, and we have minor changes of character here. Then you'll see this as well. But not to digress on that, I just want you to understand that this is probably the best example in contrast to the former version. So this being a swing pivot, this being this little retracement here, that creates a fractal, but that would not be 2 times the ATR given where we are here, that's not a deep enough retracement to be identified in the price action method as a retracement. With the fractal method, because I've got lower highs on either side of with two candles, that's a pivot that is significant to this labeling of swing structure, as you see identified here, as it offers a change of character here as we go into the end of the day. Same thing here. It's not a major structure. It's not a break of market structure, right? It's a change of character at the larger degree, right? So the larger degrees are always the thick hard lines, the solid lines, and the minor degrees are, you can set this however you like it. This is how it will default. The minor degrees will be dashed. Right, just to help you clarify. Sometimes when things are if there's a lot of them, like you see here, there may not be enough room to put all of the text in there. So we'll open it up here. Now you can see minor change of character, minor change of character. This is just this is liquidity here. But again, I want you to understand that this is a relatively substantial change to how swing structure is being determined. Again, we're not taking anything away. We're just adding this. So for example, if I get rid of those and now I go to my swing structure here and I go back to price action, I go back to the prior default here, which is a 14-period ATR, and twice that to determine a retracement. If I do it, now I get very different looking swing structure. Again, it's not that one is better or worse. This is just more enhancement for you, the trader, to make your own determination as to what your preference is. And it may not be that 2 times the ATR of a 14 period is what you prefer. You might prefer again, a 21 period and 1.5, or a 5 period and 3. It's entirely up to you as to how you define that. So we're giving you more control. Now, the 2 defaults are excellent starting points. To default to break of structure here, there's a little more control in terms of whether or not you want to define a break of structure as a close beyond or just a wick, right? Now, that's unchanged. That was also in the prior version. You can do the same thing for the change of character. Is a wick enough? I think in the prior version, the default was a change of character, a wick was enough, but a break of structure required a candle close. But all of those can be set to your preference. Now, in the fractal version, we default to both being set to candle close. So now if I set this back to fractal with these both set to candle close, when I hit recalculate, it's going to give me a different swing structure. Now, one point to make here, when I'm in fractal, the swing structure here based on the ATR, all of this is inactive. It's not relevant, right? It's only when I'm in price action is that activated. When I'm in fractal, there's no application here. The only thing that would be applicable is candle close or candle wick. So the default will come as candle close. Our suggestion is to start there and then adjust based on your own personal preference. But so let me hit recalculate that. You'll see how the swing structure changes. Break of structure, change of character, and then here now you're starting to see the internal minor swing structure as well, right? Here's a change of character, here's a change of character, break of structure. All right, all of that is happening here. This is I'm in the overnight here. I think this is Thursday night. Going into Friday, we all know what happened on Friday, but I want you to see that because in the prior version, none of this would have been here, right? All of this internal structure would not have been here. We just had the major swing, major break of structure, and then the major changes of character. So all of the new features are additions we've added to the indicator, we think, making it more potent, more powerful, but also more flexible to the individual trader's preferences. That's what we're doing with both the internal swing structure as well as the option for how you define a retracement. I think this is a very good example here that per a fractal method, that is a retracement. All right, leads to this break, right? So that is a retracement here that leads to a major change of character. With a 2 times the ATR, it wouldn't be enough. Again, not that one is right, the other is wrong, just more flexibility for you, the trader. All right, so with that, for the majority of the examples that we're going to turn to now as we go to some live market examples, I'm going to use the fractal method for a couple of reasons. One, in full disclosure, that is my preference because I prefer the objectivity of it. But also, since we have 11 or 12 videos that showcase the price action ATR method, those are all in our prior playlists, this will give you some new benefit here with regards to how the fractal approach can lead to some trading decisions based on supply and demand and order blocks and all the other things that are now still in the indicator here, but just now you're going to see them a little bit differently as it would relate to the market structure. All right, so let me pause this one here as the major changes now have been outlined, and then we'll go to some live trading examples, or some market examples, I should say that way, because it's the weekend, nothing's live. We'll look at some examples of how this can be advantageous to you. Okay, we'll be back on the next video.